Hey, sports fans, it's world champion handicapper Mike North. Punch this number in your phone right now. If you're driving, pull over. 1-800-808-3419. 1-800-808-3419 for a free pick and info for the premier handicapping site in the country, VegasScoresAndOdds.com. It's the only site you'll ever need with expert handicappers like John Anthony, Denny Macklin, Tony Sacco, Ray Monahan, yours truly, and many more. Check out the homepage of VegasScoresAndOdds.com for a tote board with your buddy. Follow Vegas Scores and Odds on Twitter and dial up 1-800-808-3419. It's 1-800-808-3419, 1-800-808-3419, or go to VegasScoresAndOdds.com.
What follows is for news and entertainment purposes only. Any use of the forthcoming information in violation of any federal, state, or local law is prohibited. Mike North, you are on fire.
You know anybody else that good?
No.
No, they'll tell you they are. They may think they are, but we're documented every single week. The eye is on us.
That's
and I ain't talking about the eye of CBS, the public eye. The first feeling I got when I won a bet was elation. The worst feeling was when I lost a bet and I wanted to jump off a balcony.
Give me a quick betting tip.
Yeah, do win and don't lose, but usually it doesn't always work out that way. How many times you heard this? I'm going to Vegas. I go, how'd you do? Well, if I lost $4,000, but you go there to have fun. No, you go there to win. And that's what's wrong with people. They have the negative mentality in anything they do, including sports, before you even lay the bet down. So you got to be positive. Vegas Scores and Odds is the landing place that gave me an opportunity to handicap. They let me show what I could do, and there's packages, there's free picks. What does Vegas Scores and Odds do when you perform? They reward you, and they take care of you, and that's why we're ready to do this show.
The Vegas Scores and Odds Advantage with Mike North starts right now. That's right. Vegas Scores and Odds Advantage with Mike North starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman, and it is Monday, and that means lots and lots of NFL talk. We'll talk about the Cowboys. Jason Garrett, is he finally really on the hot seat after that devastating loss to the Jets? Is this Vikings offense for real? The passing offense sure has looked like it after these last two games. What happened in the battle between the best two young quarterbacks in football, Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson? We'll analyze that and every other NFL game. Plus, we'll talk a little baseball. That big game tonight, the Cardinals need to win or they will be down 3-0. Let's bring him in now. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
What's going on, Aldo? Boy, it's great to be on with you again. Bears Barroom, Vegas Scores and Odds Advantage. Are you kidding me? All the platforms doing well. I have to be the first to stress, and I have to be the first to fess up to everybody. You know, tomorrow's Accountability Tuesday, and I'll tell you this right now. It's going to be mostly fun, some okay, and a little bit not good. It's called, when you have platforms, you're going to have good weeks, you're going to have bad weeks. For instance, the last 2 weeks before this week, I was 5-1 in Bears Barroom. Yet, I was only 3-4 on the odds couple. But on Vegas Scores and Odds, a month ago, I was cold. Where was I hot? Vegas Scores and Odds and the odds couple. So yesterday, I get on fire. And if Vegas Scores and Odds, and by the way, folks, 1-866-504-2201, I'll tell everybody this on Accountability Tuesday tomorrow, which is my video that I put out. But all sports the last 30 days, I'm 48-28 at VSAO Sports. That follow us at VSAO Sports and follow us at Bears Barroom. MLB, I'm 21-6. I've been banging the playoffs hard, so I'm doing well. In the NFL, I'm 5-2. Okay, odds couple, I go 2-2. George Panadakis is a friend of mine. He just went 0-5. Carmen went 0-3. There's all sorts of people that struggled yesterday. I went 2-2. I was happy. My blemish was being 5-1 the last 2 weeks on Bears Barroom, yet I go 0-3 with these college games on Friday and Saturday. Didn't work out. So I'm 5-4 the last 3 weeks. When you keep track each week, you can overreact or underreact. Bottom line is, I'm 9-9 with Bears Barroom. Was I better last year? You're damn right. Am I happy right now? No, but I'll take 9-9 over something like 6-13 or something like that. So we got a lot of work to do. I want to get better at Bears Barroom. I don't like to have one entity not do well and the other two do well, but it's been that way for the past month and a half. I guess that's what I got to live with, different strokes for different folks or different days for different results. But Aldo, it's been a good run. We're having a good time. And yeah, maybe it was a good thing the Bears were off yesterday.
Yeah, really. I got to tell you, New Mexico finally let you down. They were really good to you, and all of a sudden, this past weekend, you had them again, and they did not come through for you.
Huh? Carolina's been good to me. I stuck with these two teams. They let me down, and then the over didn't come in. That's the way it goes. How do I explain one day going 0-3, the next day going 3-0? It's just one of these. It's just one of these days, the way it falls. But the bottom line is, at the end of the year, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. We'll be on top.
Absolutely.
But I always fess up, and I always tell everybody exactly how I do. One of the few handicappers that does it. Although I'm seeing now more and more people, including Carm. I mean, Carmen was 3-0 last week. This week he's 0-3. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? On Twitter, I saw a couple people go, "Oh, you guys went 2-5, or this or that," or Carmen went 0-3. When Carmen goes 3-0, you know how many people tweet him and say congratulations?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Zero.
Nobody. Let me tell you something. 2 guys today tweeted. Anybody tweets that garbage out from now on, I'm going to tell them straight up, that's a rat move. Your family's all rats, to be honest with you. Accountability Tuesday, I tell the truth. You think it's easy? Now I know people that don't know this. You think it's easy for a team like the Tampa Bay Rays to get up and go, we got beat in the playoffs? Or you think it's easy for whatever happens tonight, maybe the Cardinals get beat again, you don't know, to get in front of the cameras? The same thing goes for handicapping. It's easy to get up when things are going good. It's hard to get up, but you got to do it when things go bad.
Merv in the chat room says, life is a bell curve, and so is gambling sometimes. I agree with them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And you know what? You just look at the results at the end of the year. If you follow the stock market the way that people follow, and I like people following us on the handicap form. Bottom line is this. I'm not sensitive to. What I'm sensitive to is people only pointing out, like if you have a bad day. Hey, you know what? Jump on the horse all the time. Otherwise, I'll let you know how I'm doing.
Yep, exactly.
I'm a little crabby, don't I, about what I did. Bears Barroom was where I got my start. I was 18-1-1. And by the way, to everybody out there, Aldo knows this. I tell him all the time. If you're doubting me, go against me next week. That's all. And you'll be in the poorhouse like people were when they went against me in the Sun-Times and Bears Barroom last year when I was 18-1-1.
Damn right. Damn right. It was historic.
Damn right. Damn shooting.
All right, let's go around the NFL and talk about some of these games. Got to start with the Minnesota Vikings because, boy, oh boy, do they look good yesterday at Minnesota, beating the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's all about Kirk Cousins now with that passing attack that he's got going. And he connected with Stephon Diggs for 7 catches, 167 yards. 3 of the 4 touchdowns that Cousins threw were to Stephon Diggs. He scored on first half passes that covered 51 and 62 yards, Mike, and he became the first player since Randy Moss, who did it in the year 2000, to post 2 touchdown receptions of 50-plus yards. Cousins finished 22 out of 29 for 333 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Not a bad performance by those Vikings, right?
No, not bad at all. And by the way, the Bears are in last place.
Oh.
Who thought that was going to happen? Am I right? I somebody told me before I came on the air, the Chicago Bears are in last place. Is that true?
I'll check it out right now.
The Bears fans sleeping. Bears fans all sleeping because of the bye yesterday. And yesterday we lost ground, if I'm not mistaken, because we had the bye yesterday.
Well,
and once again, Detroit's playing tonight.
Right.
Green Bay is playing tonight, and Minnesota's winning. Are we in last place?
We are technically in last place with a 600 winning percentage, and then in third place it's the Lions with 625. So if the Lions lose tonight, they will drop to last place, and the Bears will move
Well,
up.
we'd like to see the Packers lose tonight.
Yeah, well, some people are saying...
Because we lost to the Packers.
That is correct. But some people are saying, concede the division to the Packers and just play well enough to get the wild card. So you want the Packers to lose against the Eagles in upcoming games and so forth. So
concede the division to the Packers? Who are those people?
Yeah, well...
Green Bay ownership? Can't be anybody from Bears Barroom.
Not me.
Concede the division to the Packers?
Not me.
Who's somebody on drugs? Huh? Somebody with Tyler Skaggs? What the hell's going on?
Oh, no.
My God. What are you talking about?
I'm not conceding anything. I just heard a reporter
I don't want
say
to know who said that because I'm not conceding anything. You know what? We, like you said, Els, we're still 600.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
Still 60%. So, you know what? And we got, the Bears have had 2 weeks to prepare, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But, yeah, don't concede anything. Minnesota looks great. All you needed was Thielen. All you needed was Thielen to bounce off to get on the ass.
Yeah, exactly.
People didn't listen. I think right now the coach of the year might be Adam Thielen because he got into coaches' grills. He went public. Yeah. What are we doing? You got me and you got Diggs. You got great receivers. We had said this on Bears Barroom, and you guys are running the ball like it's 1970.
Yep, and you got, like he said, you've got to open it up for the run game, and because the run game isn't going to be able to do it week after week, and so the last 2 weeks they have done it. Now, Kirk Cousins was criticized by Zach Brown, his former teammate, earlier in the week, and said that Kirk Cousins was the weakest thing on the weakest link on the Vikings offense, and this is what Cousins said after the game when he was asked about Zach Brown.
I didn't even know what he said. I really do, stay ignorant, not read anything, and that's for my best interest. But Zach was a teammate in Washington. He's one of the better linebackers I've played with or against. Have a lot of respect for him. And, if you're trying to write a story about how it was a motivator this week, it wasn't because I didn't know about it.
I don't know. You believe that, Mike? I think he knew about it. Mike, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He knew about it, but you know what's funny? He knew about it, but what was funny, if I ever said to a nun what he said, I don't read, I like to stay ignorant, I would have had a problem.
That's right.
I would have had a problem. Of course he read it. Of course he heard it. But the guy had nothing to say afterwards.
That's right. I have that.
They approached him. Now, do we have that cut available? I don't know if we do.
Yeah, we do.
But he didn't say any. He basically hemmed and hawed, said, I only want to talk about the game. And the reporters go, well, that was about the game. Kirk Cousins went off, and you said he won. And he said, I got to give him credit. He played good.
I have that cut right here.
Do you wish maybe you didn't say what he said about Cousins?
I'm here to talk about the game. You know about that.
That was a big part of it.
Any other questions besides about Kirk Cousins?
How do you think he played today?
He did a great job there. He played good. That's awesome.
He finally conceded that Kirk had a good day.
I almost had it word for word.
You did indeed. Now,
well, I'll tell you what. See, when you shoot off your mouth like that and you sell wolf tickets, you got to stand up afterwards. You can't say, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that. It's like anything else. It's not easy. We just talked about if you have a great day gambling, it's easy to talk. If Kirk Cousins would have had a lousy day yesterday and the Eagles would have won, this guy would have been up there for 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk Cousins has a great day. The Eagles lose, and by the way, don't look good. And this guy had hardly anything to say. That's what happened.
Yep, that is exactly what happened. And one of the things that I did this week is I took a peek at some of the upcoming games, just 2 or 3 of them, to just see who's playing who. And the Vikings are at Detroit next week. And one of the things I researched was that the Vikings not only have won 3 straight against Detroit, but they've also covered in all 3 of those games, Mike. So I'm just laying that out there for all those gamblers listening.
Aldo with a little bit of, a little hint here, a little hint there. Now, tonight, if they win, though, against Green Bay, that changes the dynamic because we're looking at a different Detroit team than those teams that have been losing in the past. There's some solidification going on in Detroit. They were the first ones basically to expose Kansas City. They ended up losing the game, but Kansas City's lost 3 straight since. Nobody thought that was going to happen, 2 straight at home, excuse me.
Yeah.
So Detroit was good enough to hang in there with Kansas City when nobody thought Kansas City was going to go, was going to get beat. So, and they also blew that game that they got a tie against Arizona. There's an argument to be said that they could easily be undefeated right now, maybe because of inexperience, maybe because of Patricia, only in his second year. They blew those games, but there's definitely an improvement.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Now, the money line tonight, Mike, is Lions plus 159. So for idiots like me, what does that mean?
All right, let me just I'll go right to the lines right now because this is what we do here at the VSAO Sports Advantage, Vegas Scores and Odds Advantage. What this means basically is tonight, if you call your bookmaker and you say, I want to put $100 on the Packers, I want to win $100 on the Packers, you got to bet mine 180 to win 100. So even though the Packers are 3-point favorites, they're big favorites when it comes to the money line. $180 to win 100 is a lot of money. The Lions, if you put 100 down and say, I want Detroit, you don't get any points. They got to win outright, but you'd win 155.
Gotcha.
You'd win 155. It's only a 3-point spread, so it's basically an even game almost as it is. So it's not a bad bet if you want Detroit.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and Detroit.
Until you lose and part with the 100. But if you lose the Green Bay game, you part with 180.
Right.
If you have Green Bay.
Now, Detroit has won the last 4 games against the Packers. Now, Aaron Rodgers did not play in 2 of those because he was injured. But that's pretty compelling that the Lions do have a win streak here going. But they are playing in Lambeau, so that's a tough bet. But it's going to be a great game tonight.
I think, you know what, there's a way you could do this too. You could take the Packers on the money line and take Detroit plus 3.
Mm-hmm.
This way, if the Packers win by 2, you win 100 on the Packers. You had to pay 180 for the 100. But if they only win by 2, you win the game for the Packers and you win for Detroit plus 3. See what I mean?
Yeah,
so you win both ends.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I like that.
You know me. Oh, Mr. Angle. Always looking for an angle. Always looking for a shortcut. That's what the nun used to tell me. The nun, I'll tell you, she gave me a crack when she goes, you're always looking for a shortcut. I go, well, then why am I here? Boom! Bang!
God bless you, Mark.
Don't look like they're a shortcut to me.
That's right. All right, Cincinnati Bengals lose their 6th straight game this time against the Baltimore Ravens. And that quarterback for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he threw for 236 yards. He had 0 touchdowns throwing, but he did get 1 rushing and 152 yards rushing. Boy, if you have him on your fantasy team, you're just killing your opponents, I bet. The Ravens finished with a total of 269 rushing yards. Andy Dalton rushed for a touchdown, threw for an interception. He was 21 out of 39. After the game, the Bengals coach, Zach Taylor, said something that I think Bears fans can really relate to. This is what he said.
And then on offense, we continued to search for that identity. It didn't feel like we really had any drives in the second half. I think we had 2 an 11-play drive and then a 4-play drive, and then all of a sudden we're in the 2-minute drill. So it was a strange game in that respect.
Mike, 6 games into the season, and the Bengals, like the Bears, are looking for their offensive identity. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, but this is his first year.
Yeah.
Okay? Nagy was last year. All right? I understand where you're coming from, though. This guy's a McVay disciple.
Yeah, exactly.
So it used to be fashionable until recently to be a Sean McVay disciple. But that doesn't mean anything if you don't have the players.
Right.
And you know what? He doesn't have the players. I'm Andy Dalton down. I mean, I really am. I'm sure the kid wants to win, but it's starting to look like he's just Jay Cutler with manners. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Jay Cutler that gives a damn. Basically, that's what he is. He's a good guy, right? He's a good guy. And you know me, I always got to bring Cutler into the show. Because whenever I want to think something negative about a football player in the professional ranks, his name just pops up. But Dalton's starting, you know what? If me and you were in Cincinnati, you and I would be talking about how we're tired of it. How we're tired of the Dalton years. It's time to maybe try something different. The Zach Taylor guy, Give him some chance to build up his program. Remember Gruden last year? The same stuff. I mean, the same type of situation. Give him a chance. Let's wait a little bit. But maybe things had to be stripped down. Marvin Lewis was there for 16 years. But God, right now, if you had to make an argument for Marvin Lewis coming back, you could do it.
Yeah. Well, you said 16 years. I thought he was there for all 100. It seemed that way to me.
It seemed like it. The guy looked the same. He's like an alien, and he was always there. He can't get fired. It's crazy. It's sort of like that guy Garrett, Jason Garrett in Dallas.
That's right. That's another. Well,
Wow.
we'll talk about Jason Garrett a little later. But boy, you were absolutely right about Marvin.
We're gonna do a special show.
Yeah, we got to do a special on Dallas. My buddy James Kessel is listening, and I know he is a big Cowboys fan, and he loves you, so he's dying to hear what you're going to say about the Cowboys. But we're going to hold off on that. I want to turn our attention.
We're going to tease you, Jimmy.
Exactly.
We're going to be the chick at 157 in the night saying, "I may go home with you."
Yeah, I've heard that a lot over my 60
God.
years.
What man hasn't?
Well, there's some guys that seem to.
That's why we go to bed at night in the fetal position.
All right, let's talk about that game with those two quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. The final was 31-24. Mahomes was 19 out of 35 for 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, and interception. Deshaun Watson didn't have great numbers passing the ball, but he had 2 rushing touchdowns. This was a big win for the Texans. I mean, they go to Kansas City and they beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who were favored. This was Bill O'Brien after the game, though, telling everyone to pump the brakes.
It's 4-2. 4-2 gets you nowhere. And we have a very, very good team on the road next week. Very well-coached team, that beat us in the playoffs last year. And so we've got a big week here, and we got to quickly turn the page and get going.
He's talking about the Indianapolis Colts, but you know what? Bill Bryan has been criticized because going into the season, Mike, his team, the Texans, were 16-31 against teams with a record above 500. For them to go to Kansas City and beat a 4-1 Chiefs team, that's a huge moment for that franchise, don't you think?
Yeah, and I'll give them credit. And by the way, loosen up, Coach. Have a little bit of fun, because the Hounds have been after you for 2 years to get fired. So we're going to game next week. You know what? I understand, but it's like 15 minutes after the game. Tell your team you love them. I'm sure you did in the locker room. Say we're up for next week. We got to go get them. Don't be so sullen. I know you might have a couple people in the media you don't like, maybe that have been covering you bad, but yesterday's a day for you to enjoy. It was a hard game for me to watch because of Watson. I wanted him so badly in a Bear uniform. Mm-hmm. I was ahead of the curve, ahead of everybody. And David Hall brought up a good point. He beat the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? The most impressive point is that he beat Alabama. That's when the guy hastened to me, because back then nobody was beating Alabama for the most part, and he wouldn't beat Alabama. Mahomes is great, but I heard my guy Mike Golick today, senior, saying this morning, and also Trey and Golick Jr. talking about how the Kansas City defense is really, really bad. Nobody was mentioning their defense when Mahomes was putting up numbers the last couple of years. And they lost Indianapolis 19-13 a week or two ago. So while they're right, don't be afraid to say Mahomes isn't getting it done either. And he had he had a fumble yesterday, an interception, still a great quarterback. But let's talk about putting the brakes on, like Bill O'Brien said. Yeah. They've lost 2 in a row at home.
Right.
They've lost 2 in a row at home, folks. So let's pump the Mahomes brakes down, and Deshaun Watson, give him a pat on the back, because that guy gets murdered almost every week. I'll say this, his line blocked for him better yesterday.
They did a much better job indeed. Now, Mahomes is playing with an ankle injury that's really, you can tell that it's limiting his mobility, but yet he did have overall, statistically, throwing 3 touchdowns and 1 interception.
I was going to say, did it stop stop hurting him when he threw the 3 touchdowns? So I don't want to hear it. He's doing a decent job. Hey, maybe the league's starting to adjust to him a little bit. Now he's got to do a little bit of adjusting, but just, this is where you step on the brakes. They've lost 2 in a row at home for Patrick Mahomes. Nobody predicted that.
Yeah, that's true. Now, a quarterback that you've been singing praises of since the day I met you, you've been talking about Russell Wilson and how much you appreciate and love that guy. He threw 2 touchdown passes yesterday. He ran for 1. The Seahawks beat the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, 32-28. The team rallied back, and Wilson talked about what is the key when he was asked what is the key to coming back from behind on the road.
It was a crazy game. It was a battle, for sure. I thought we were down 20-6. Against a good football team, a lot of great players, and we found a way. We just kept going. We kept battling. We kept believing that something great was going to happen, and sure enough, it did. And there in the fourth quarter, we found a way again.
Never quit, Mike. That is the key to winning on the road, especially when you're behind. That is the way to fight in the NFL and win on the road, right?
Yeah. I didn't want Cutler. I said Watson would be a stud. I say Russell's the best quarterback. And this is all before the season starts. So people better start listening. I know the quarterback position. I've been watching it since I was 9 years old. You can tell just by looking. I mean, Russell Wilson's a stud. Let me tell you, he buys 5-6 seconds out.
Oh, yeah.
He makes the offensive line look good. Yep. Scrambles around. You know what? There's nothing more frustrating to a defensive back. Nothing. Than chasing a receiver for more than 3.5, 4 seconds. And this guy buys time. He wants to win. I think he's the big. If you want to say it, the 2 top quarterback competitors in the game, if I had to pick them, I'd say it's Brady and it's Russell. 1, 2. Not that the other guys aren't, but I see what Russell's got around them. They shouldn't be as good as they're doing. They have a stud quarterback.
If you had to win a game tonight, and you had to choose Tom Brady or Russell Wilson, who do you choose?
Wow! I'm going to shock you. For one game, I'm taking Russell Wilson.
Yes, me too. I would do it too.
For the season, I may take Brady. But for one game, I'm taking Russell Wilson. He's that good. He believes in himself. I mean, so does Brady. I mean, Brady's got 6 Super Bowls, and he plays with different personnel like Russell Wilson does. They're 2 of my favorite quarterbacks. They're winners through and through. You have to have that attitude from the time you hit the field you want to win. I've never seen either one of those guys, for the most part, not give 100%.
Hart 4803 says that in that game, Seahawks and Browns, Freddie Kitchens didn't do Mayfield any favors, in his opinion. You know what? I am not a Mayfield fan. What do you think about this kid?
I'd rather have Mitch. That will tell you where Mayfield is in my world.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Mitch. See, Mitch, at least, he's not a mouthy guy. He wants to learn. He wants to get better. Let's face it, the draft was a mistake. And I said even on Twitter, I know, I'm supposed to let it go. But what compounded things yesterday is we could add McCaffrey too that year. So you have McCaffrey, Watson, and Mahomes playing, and we got to buy, and we're watching 3 studs play football, and in the meantime, we moved up for Mitch Trubisky. The dumbest move of all time in the National Football League as far as front offices are concerned. That being said, there's lots of guys I would rather not have than Mitch, and Baker Mayfield's one of them.
Mitch still has a lot of time to prove that Ryan Pace did the right move, but right now...
Mayfield throws interceptions. I mean, he leads the NFL since the beginning of last year. He's thrown more interceptions than anybody else.
Oh, look at that. I think that
this is what Daddy does. Daddy don't just sit around waiting for Aldo to call. I do my homework, folks. If you want to know the truth, I heard it on a telecast, but what the hell you can do? But that's doing your homework.
Shane Marsaw is so proud of you. He's saying right now, my dad is just the greatest.
What did you say? He's happy because I like Mitch over Baker Mayfield, right?
Absolutely. He loves you. And the fact that you prepared.
It's the truth. Baker Mayfield is small. Here's how if he can't quarterback like Breeze don't throw. He gets on his tippy toes. But he doesn't always throw over the lineman. He throws between them, finds lanes. And I understand. Freddie Kitchens looks like a homeless man, okay? He was the running backs coach last year. By the way, he's coaching like one. He's absolutely, I don't know how this guy rose through the ranks. I guess because he worked well with Mayfield. We'll have to be patient. But guess what? The two teams that were picked in Vegas during the offseason, the Bears and the Browns, out of the two, the Bears are at least showing some semblance of a Super Bowl playoff team. Cleveland was the overhyped one of the two.
I hear you. Now, a note about the Seattle Seahawks about their next.
I love Shane. I've ever told Shane he's like a son to me.
Yeah, well, he says you're like a dad to him.
That's right.
The Seahawks are playing the Ravens next week in what has to be one of the games of the week. Now, it's at Seattle where the Hawks are 14-1 straight up in home games against the AFC teams since Russell Wilson's rookie year, which was 2012. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Then the Hawks so far, and the Seahawks are getting 4 points on the early line right now. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll talk about that
more.
more.
You want me to make you sick?
Yeah, go ahead.
With
please.
this Bear defense, with our special teams, even with our offense, if we had Russell Wilson for 8 years like we'd have Cutler, we'd have at least one Super Bowl, probably two.
Yeah, oh, man.
That's the truth. That's the difference here, folks. We have a Super Bowl type team. Our quarterback, the most important position, is the guy not ready yet. Yeah. And that's the issue. You bring in a guy like Russell Wilson. You bring in, I hate to say it, guys like Mahomes or Watson that are farther along. We're going to win a Super Bowl down the line with the team we got, especially the defense.
Well, a huge test next Sunday for Mitch Trubisky is going to be the New Orleans Saints, because they went to Jacksonville on the road and they held the red-hot Gardner Minshew to 14 of 29 passing for only 163 yards and an interception. The Saints held Minshew was red hot. This was the first time, I think, 5 games that he had not thrown for a touchdown pass, and so it's this Saints team the defense is gonna be a huge test for Mitch Trubisky on Sunday. What do you think about? You have any early thoughts on that?
This. I had Jacksonville yesterday, and I lost that game. I was 5-2 yesterday. Excuse me, 7-2 yesterday overall. I had a great day, but I had Jacksonville and I had the Chiefs. Okay, and Jacksonville, Minshew. Hey, both defenses played great. I mean, they didn't win the game.
Right.
Minshew had a couple errant passes. But yeah, I mean, New Orleans, look, Teddy Bridgewater, I called it when he got in. Here's the thing.
You did?
Teddy Bridgewater's undefeated.
Yep.
So is the guy from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's second string quarterbacks have won every game. How about the Panthers? What's that guy's name? The Panthers that cook
Kyle Allen.
Cam Newton? Allen?
Yeah, Kyle Allen.
No, Kyle Murray, I think. What's his name?
Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The guy from the Panthers?
Right.
Let me ask you something. They were talking about MVPs today, okay? The MVPs right now, your usual cast of characters, Brady, Mahomes, maybe Watson gets in. Let me ask you something. Where do you put McCaffrey? Because if McCaffrey, believe me when I tell you this, folks, on Carolina, I don't think anybody will dispute this. McCaffrey's more important than either one of their quarterbacks.
Oh, I would agree.
If McCaffrey goes down tomorrow, Carolina starts losing, folks.
I'm here.
Because their quarterback then is in big trouble. He's got the best all-purpose back in the game of football, and I think a top 5 MVP candidate.
I'm with you. Back to that Saints game, Bridgewater. As you said, he was efficient yesterday. 24 out of 36. His winning touchdown pass was late in the fourth quarter, and then after the game, Bridgewater gave credit to the people that deserved it, the entire team.
Special teams did a great job of changing the field position. Defense did a great job of, keeping those guys from crossing the 50. And, we came away with the win. Like I said, the great teams find a way to win football games, and they dig deep within. And we knew that it was going to be a fight coming out this way. with the different elements and things like that. But feels good to get back on the plane, headed back to New Orleans to win.
Now, they have a fight against the Bears next week. The Bears right now are getting 3.5 points. Now, the Saints have covered the spread in 15 straight October games, Mike. 15 straight. And Sean Payton is also 4-0 both straight up and against the spread against the Bears in his career. Does that give you pause for concern as a gambler when you're looking at this?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, right? Oh, my
Hell
goodness.
yeah. Bridgewater's got he's like 15 games over 500 as a starter.
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't make any mistakes. He's the perfect quarterback, and you can tell he plays with Drew Brees. Drew Brees encourages him, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. A brilliant businessman. Second-string quarterbacks, where do you want to play? You play behind the aged 37-year-old, but still effective Drew Brees, who's got a pretty good team around him. I think the surprise to me is the defense of New Orleans. And so I had, on Friday night when I was on AM 1000 with Carmen and Yerks and the Odds Couple, Carmen asked me what would the spread be. And if for the Bear game, I said, well, it's going to depend. I said, if New Orleans loses, I said this Sunday against Jacksonville, the spread will be different than if they win. He goes, well, let's just say, pick it now. And I said 4.5 Bears. And that's exactly what it came out to be. And it didn't matter that New Orleans won. The Bears got a bye week. Vegas thinks they're the better team. Here's where panic sets in. If we lose, if we win against a team like New Orleans who's on a roll, now we get emboldened to the second level.
Yep, I'm with you 100%. Now, Mitch Trubisky is throwing over at Hallis Hall today for the first time since he suffered his injury. And Coach Matt Nagy is saying that if he plays on Sunday, he is not going to be hampered by anything, that he is going to call the plays as he's always called. And so he's not going to be worried about seeing Mitch run the ball on this shoulder that some people are saying. We had Dr. David Chow, the pro football doc, on one of our shows, and he said that Mitch Trubisky is susceptible to having that shoulder pop out again. But Matt Nagy is saying he doesn't care. If Trubisky is out there, he's going to call plays as if he's 100% healthy. So that, in my opinion, is good news because I think Trubisky has got to run the ball for the Bears offense to be effective. What do you think?
All right, I will say this first. How many running plays will he call for Mitch Trubisky? I'm going to say at the most one. Okay? When Mitch Trubisky or Lamar Jackson or Watson, who ran for 2 TDs, run for the most part, or any other quarterback, it's by design. Okay? Excuse me. It's not by design. It's by, get me out of here. You know? Russell Wilson's the smartest one. He don't look to run a lot. He looks to scramble behind the line of scrimmage and find somebody. But these other guys, Mitch got hurt because he ran, he improv'd, and he ran. If Mitch gets hurt again, I predict it won't be by a play called by Nagy. It will be by a run, Aldo, that he decided to do when maybe his receivers were covered or the rush was on him.
Interesting.
You agree?
I probably, I would say that I'm with you there. I just feel like on these RPOs, these run pass options, I think that Mitch has to not be so conservative. He's only run the ball 5 times this year. And so some of the running decisions are his. So he got to decide whether to give the ball to this guy or take it himself or throw the ball. So I'm not so much worried about play calls that Matt Nagy is going to call. I want to see Mitch be aggressive, running the ball himself and then sliding so that he protects that shoulder. Now, in other breaking news, Mike, Kyle Long's season is officially over, and it could be his career too because he renegotiated his contract, and you gotta believe that the Bears will not re-sign him, the 30-year-old offensive guard who played in 2 Pro Bowl games. It just seems like his body has given up on him. What are your thoughts about the late-breaking news here that Kyle Long will not return this season to play for the Chicago Bears?
You know, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things I like to do is harken back to many a conversation with my good friend Aldo Gandia. It's a great one that I like to call him and Jackie Gleason, Aldo Gandia. And Aldo remembers conversations that I have
That's right.
with him once I bring him up. About 3 weeks ago, Aldo brings up to me Kyle Long. I said he was a weak link. Mm-hmm. I said he looked slow. He's been hurt too much. But then I brought up the one fact that I don't think a lot of his teammates will be sorry to see him go because he had an ugly incident during preseason. I thought it was like something like a roid rage. And I think that, and if I'm not mistaken, although you even said he'd have a long way to go to win back his teammates, maybe that happened.
I did, yeah.
Okay. But he also was very mouthy and complimentary towards Jay Cutler all the time. I always thought that, you know what, he was a fawner over Jay Cutler. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest with you. You had a great career. It's time to move on. And will I miss him? Yeah, but sort of. But he wasn't on the field a lot.
Yeah, he wasn't. Not the last 2 seasons. That is for sure.
And he was getting beat like a red mule when he was in.
He unfortunately was, and now it looks like it's going to be Rashard Coward, who we've had as a guest here at Bears Barroom. This kid was converted from a defensive lineman to offensive lineman. I saw him play at Bourbonnais at the offensive tackle position, but they're moving him into the guard position, and he played several snaps in the game that Kyle Long left, the game that Ted Larson started in Kyle Long's place, and then Larson got hurt. And Coward came in and played very well at right guard. So he is the new starting right guard for the Chicago Bears, and a lot hinges on his play because if you don't control the line of scrimmage, you know what happens. I don't care how great Mitch Trubisky might play. You got to give him a clean pocket. And so a lot hinges on Rashard Coward's performance against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, you brought up something interesting. I want to just roll back on that. By the way, I'd rather play guard than tackle because you can wedge yourself between the center and the tackle if you're a guard and try to form some sort of wedge, which will help you a little bit. When you're on a tackle, you're on an island all on your own. But you brought up a great stat, and this isn't the first time you've brought it up. You brought it up on Twitter, I think a week or two ago. I saw it, where you said Mitch has only run 5 times. That's a guy that's scared to run.
Yeah.
That's a guy who's been injured twice now running the football. And I brought this up to a guy. The guy goes, hey, the guy got hurt running. No, he got hurt because he fumbled running. And he went to try to grab the ball. Right. Hold on to the ball, but I really believe you're right, Aldo. I think he's hesitant to run. And you know what? Unless they call a running play, which would be insanity to me, if you have a quarterback with a bad shoulder, and you're calling a running play for him or a quarterback draw, I think that would be on Nagy. But the quarterback option plays, you're right. It sort of cuts things in half. But aren't people saying that Mitch ain't that smart anyway, and they've cut the playbook down because of it?
That is word going around some circles in the NFL that Mitch Trubisky still is having difficulty with the playbook. I'm not quite sure that's accurate. Who knows at this point? But that has been some of the scuttlebutt going around in the NFL with some commentators.
Yeah. By the way, one thing that isn't scuttlebutt is Vegas scores and odds, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh,
do you like that segue, Elton?
I love
Vegas scores and odds at VSAO. Give them a follow. We're close to 600. I think we're 5 away. Please pass it on. And pass on Bears Barroom. We're close to 10,000. We want to get there. I have goals. I understand you're mad at me because I didn't have a good week this week, but don't worry about it. We got plenty of time to go. Just Bears Barroom, Vegas scores and odds. Follow me also at AM 1000. But Aldo and I, we're also on. The podcast will be on about a half an hour after the show today. And don't forget, 3 picks on Wednesday coming up, and our show starts at 3 o'clock on the fabulous Vegas Scores and Odds Network.
Let me also add, Mike, that people should call 1-800-808-3419 for a free pick. That's 1-800-808-3419, and make sure you follow Vegas Scores and Odds on Twitter. It is VSAO Sports, at VSAO Sports. All right.
And by the way, 2 of the free picks on the line last night were San Francisco and Pittsburgh. Those are 2 winners, folks.
Nice.
By the way, can I just say Lamar Jackson's one of my favorite guys? Because Lamar Jackson reminds you of a guy that I was buddies with at Sud High School named Joe Little. Big afro, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson reminds me of Washington, the guy that was on Welcome Back, Kotter. Remember that guy?
Yeah, sure I do. What a great show.
What was that guy's name? You remember?
Oh, gosh.
I can't remember his name. He was on with Travolta.
Washington. Wasn't it Washington? Wasn't it Washington?
What was his real name? I don't remember his real name, but I will tell you. Maybe somebody will come up with it. But Lamar Jackson could have been in Welcome Back, Kotter. Believe me.
How about it?
I love that guy. He's got an afro, man. I love him.
Let me see. I got the page open here. Freddie Boom Boom Washington was played by Lawrence Hilton Jacobs.
Oh, I love Larry. Larry Hilton Jacobs was great. He was in Car Wash.
Yes, exactly.
Now take a good look at him. Is that Lamar Jackson?
Yes, it is. It really is. They look alike.
Come on. That guy can make if he was a little younger, he could play in the Lamar Jackson story.
That's right.
I love Lamar Jackson. You know what I like about guys like him?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm not perfect at maybe anything I'm doing here, but I'm good enough. And I'm not afraid. The guy's not afraid. We're talking about some guys can't wait to start running. You know what I mean?
Right. No, this guy, he's won me over because I had doubts that he was going to be a real NFL quarterback. But as long as he stays healthy, he's doing what I think Mitch Trubisky is capable of doing. Not to that high degree of running with the ball, but Mitch Trubisky is capable of running for 50 yards a game and throwing for 250 yards a game. We've got to see that.
Knock it off, please. For God's sake, please help yourself. What is wrong with you? You know what the problem is? He doesn't have enough experience. He didn't play till his senior year. He wasn't good enough to start number one. These other guys, like Mahomes and like Watson. I mean, Watson went to Clemson, man. Watson played he started 40-some games in his career. Mitch started 13. I mean, the whole thing was nonsensical when I'm not talking hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I
said all this when it happened.
Right.
What are you doing?
I agree.
And now, the pick, look, the moving up makes Pace look bad, and it will always make him look bad because of the performance of Watson, Mahomes, and yes, McCaffrey now. I'm looking at it yesterday. We passed on him, too. I mean, come on, in 2017.
You're killing me, Mike.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous what we did.
Now, the argument about Mitch Trubisky's...
I can't get over it.
The argument about Mitch Trubisky's experience is quickly wearing off because he's got 30 starts in the NFL now. That's plenty to start, showing some consistency when you play.
Okay, so 30 starts plus 13 is 43. Watson has about the same amount. He's got 70 to 75 starts combined between college and pro. That matters.
Yeah.
And by the way, Aldo, don't forget, Watson played in the preseason. Nagy, huge mistake this year, sitting him on his ass the whole preseason because the kid's behind, and now he's even more behind because he's injured.
Yeah. I'm with you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the bowl game that was played yesterday. What do you call it? The Blunder Bowl, the worst team in football bowl?
Miami versus Washington.
That's the one. 17.
My God, Gruhn's saying, just if they would have only given me a week, but Miami almost came back and won that thing.
That is exactly correct. Josh Rosen, who started the game for the Dolphins, threw 2 interceptions, and so the Dolphins head coach said, enough is enough. I'm going to put Fitzmagic in there. He comes into the fourth quarter and immediately generates offense. They score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and then the Dolphins coach says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to win this game with a 2-point conversion. But I know the owner doesn't want me to win this game, so I'm going to call a really stupid play that's going to be stopped. And I'm going to make him happy, and I'm going to show the team that I had confidence in calling this play for the victory. That's how I interpreted that game. It was awful. It was a boring game. It was terribly coached. And Bill Callahan, congratulations. You got a win, your first win with the Redskins as the interim coach. But my goodness, it doesn't change the fact that these are 2 awful, awful football teams.
Oh, yeah. And Josh Rosen, I guess, people are starting to get sour on him.
Yeah.
He's bouncing around. You hear the word Josh Rosen, you think his family owned the cleaners in Albany Park. His brother Ephraim and his Sister Susan, all went to Roosevelt High School. They went to Temple, Israel. Wonderful people. We used to meet them for nashes, right? No, this guy's an NFL quarterback. And guess what? He may end up owning the deli if he don't get things together, but they are too big. There's nothing worse than if you're a quarterback and you want to win, playing on a horrible team with no weapons and really no interest in winning, and that's what it looks like. I think Washington wanted to win. Miami has been rumored from the beginning they didn't want to win. So, it's got to be rough. It's got to be rough. And I think if Josh Rosen went somewhere else, am I ready to hammer him and say he should never play in the league again? No, because I see other players playing in the league that are, just as bad. I think sometimes the situation takes it over for you, and I think that's the Josh Rosen deal right now.
I'm with you. I'm with you. A lot of people have been talking about, prior to yesterday's game, a lot of people were talking about, I would trade a third or second round draft.
Josh Rosen was friends, remember, with Freddie Feldman. Freddie Feldman had the paper route. He used to come collect.
I just want all Bears fans to stop talking about Josh Rosen coming to the Bears and competing with Mitch Trubisky. Ain't going to happen. He's not that good. We don't want to compound the problem we already have.
I'd rather have Mitch Trubisky than Josh Rosen and Baker Mayfield. I told you people. There's people I'd rather have, and I had already told that, but there's other people I'd rather have Mitch than, okay?
Yeah.
I got Mitch right down the middle. I'm not crapping on Mitch, believe me. Mitch isn't crapping on himself. It's just the people that Pace could have taken are all going to go to the Hall of Fame. That's hard to do, to move up for Mitch Trubisky. And then you got three, and I mean three, Mahomes, Watson, and McCaffrey out of that draft, that if they all stay healthy are sure Hall of Famers. That's the bad part about this whole thing, and we can't say that about Mitch right now.
Mike, I'm going to add another name to that list of players that you have.
I'm ready. Where's the vomit bucket?
Yeah, get it.
Okay, go
get
ahead.
it handy. George Kittle, the tight end of the 49ers, yesterday had 8 catches for 103 yards. This guy was changed the game with his power and speed after the catch. He was drafted after Ryan Pace chose Adam Shaheen.
Wait a minute! I didn't know that one.
Yeah,
that guy Kittle's a monster.
Yeah.
We drafted Shaheen first.
Yes, in the second round.
You're the first one I've heard. See, Aldo, I'm so proud of you. These cuts are great. You're coming up with these nuggets. I mean, my God, I can't believe that George Kittle's the new Gronk.
Yes.
That's who he is. He's a beast, and he's fast. He's healthy. He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him, and he's fearless.
NB Dub in the chat room says, quick, BB, go check in on Mike.
Man, I'm telling you. Now I can add Kittle to McCaffrey, Watson, and Mahomes. Think about that.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Hindsight is 20/20, but, hey, that's how you evaluate your general manager on who he picked. That's his job.
Yeah, but it wasn't hindsight when I wanted Watson.
No,
that's not hindsight.
No, I'm with you.
I didn't want Cutler. I didn't want Wannstedt. You know what? I didn't want Trubisky. I wanted Watson. I didn't want Mahomes. I'll be the first to say it. I wanted Watson. But, dear Lord, I mean, you don't have to be that smart. What's wrong with these people? They try to outsmart themselves. Just go by the eye. If you didn't think that, if you honestly thought, after watching Watson beat Alabama, that Mitch Trubisky was better than him, you need your head examined.
You do.
You need your head examined. And it's an arrogancy to move up for a guy you didn't have to move up for, who most people thought wasn't going to go till late first or early second, period. Yeah. And nobody's ever solidified John Lynch was going to take him. Yeah. Nobody.
It's and I hate to hammer this any longer, but
hammer it some more. We're building a deck.
That's right.
We're hammering this thing so much we're building a home while we're out for this hour.
A 5-bedroom home with a 3-car garage.
Absolutely, and it deserves to be hammered. It's a horrible, one of the worst picks when it's all said and done ever.
Well, not. Well,
It's nothing against Mitch. He might be decent, but the other guys are Hall of Famers.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Right now, it is looking that way. Hopefully, Mitch turns it around. All right. I wanted to say that, what did I want to say? Oh, that 49er-Rams game. The Rams, they start the game by running the ball down the 49ers' throats. 7 consecutive plays. They score a touchdown on 65 yards rushing on the first drive. And then all of a sudden, the Rams defense says, the 49ers defense says, they ain't going to do that no more. Wow. And they stop the Jared Goff had one of his worst days ever. I mean, he struggled all day long. He was throwing passes that were, even under no duress, he was throwing one-hop throws to his receivers. He looks like you think Mitch Trubisky is a poor draft pick. This guy looks like he is going to be a monumental bust, and he just signed like $100 million contract. Mike, so the Rams could be facing some huge problems.
But didn't they get to the problem? I mean, they look what they did last year. I know they look horrible right now, and the McVay train is starting to halt. I'm with you, Aldo, 100%. But this, I guess this proves every year is different because Garoppolo is unbelievable. The 49ers and John Lynch have put together a stellar defense and offense. I mean, who had 49ers where they're at right now? It's unbelievable. But you're right. I mean, you know what? You see these teams, they look like they're going to be good for 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, who was predicting that the Rams were going to struggle like this? Who was predicting that Kansas City was going to lose 2 in a row at home? I mean, so, you know, that's the game, man. The NFL, and this is why I'm proud of my record, and I'm proud of what we've done here at Bears Barroom with my handicapping. And the same thing goes for AM 1000 and definitely for Vegas Scores and Odds. I came out of nowhere. I'm proud of my handicapping because you know what I've been hearing all day long, Els? The NFL's unpredictable. So if you're winning in the NFL on the gambling circuit, you're predicting the unpredictable. That's what you're doing, and that's what we're seeing every single week. Teams winning that you don't think are going to win. You know what I mean? So, and other teams losing that you don't think are going to lose. Who thought that Kansas City was going to lose 2 in a row at home?
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. And I never thought it, that's for sure. And I never thought that you were going to be right when I hear you on ESPN's The Odds Couple and you say the Jets are getting 7.5 points and I'm taking the Jets. Do I recall that correctly?
Yeah. Can I just say this? I went 2 and 2 on The Odds Couple. Shouldn't I get 2 wins for that?
Oh, I think you get 5 wins for that, buddy. I am so impressed.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. If you lose in the day early with me, you're going to have that game. Do you know? And I said this on Twitter. The amount of people that took the Jets, I could have a party in a phone booth and there'd be enough room for a dance floor. I'm not kidding you. Somebody said you and Colin Cowherd are the only 2 guys they heard all weekend that took the Jets. I went back and looked at the Sun-Times, same thing. Dallas.
Wow.
Everybody took Dallas. So naturally, I'm scared to death. Just like, you know, I'm scared. It's the Jets. But Sam Darnold looked good, and Dak Prescott, I mean, he looks okay. But are you going to invest $30 million a year?
I don't think so.
And by the way, Jerry Jones, I love the guy. I love him.
He's a buddy
but
of
he's
yours.
Not getting it done again. And for Jason Garrett to be the head coach, Jason Garrett is the Cutler of head coaches. 10 years, not getting it done, and they won't fire him because Jerry Jones wants to run the show and he likes calmness. He doesn't want any garbage. But think about this. Didn't Jerry Jones basically hire, I mean, it's been a decade. And yesterday I saw this guy, Jason Garrett, because I'm betting the Jets. And I said on Twitter at North to North, follow at North to North, and follow Aldo Gandia, and at Bears Barroom. And it's 7-3. And Dallas is on the 2. It's 4th and 2 for a touchdown. It's the first quarter. Kick the field goal. They go for it, don't make it. What do they lose by at the end of the game? 2. And it reminds me of a story that I heard about Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi passed on points one time. And if you check out the rest of his career, very hard to find him not taking a field goal when it was time to take a field goal. I don't know what analytics are telling coaches early in games to bypass points, but those analytics, are what get coaches fired.
That is so true. Absolutely true. And I got to tell you, my buddy who listens to you religiously, he calls me after the odds couple and says, I can't believe Mike took the Jets over my team, the Cowboys.
Neither could I. You tell him neither could I?
He was so upset with you. And then last night after the game, he calls, I pick up the phone, and he says, well, I can't say that. We don't swear on this show, but he says, effing Mike North, he was right.
Well, you know why? Because Sam Darnold played really, really good. Sam Darnold, if you're a Jets fan, you got hope today. And I don't know. I'm sort of torn if I would take Mitch or Sam Darnold right now. I'm torn. I'm not ready to commit either way. I've said I'd take Mitch over Baker, but I wouldn't take Mitch over Watson. Sam Darnold looked pretty damn good yesterday, and they got some other playmakers on that team. Plus, Le'Veon Bell, he doesn't gain a lot of yards, but what that does is eat up the clock. That's another reason Kansas City lost yesterday. They only ran the ball 11 times.
Mm-hmm. That is.
So don't talk about time of possession being double when you don't run the ball.
Exactly.
And when you don't extend, when you don't convert on third down. It's easy to blame the defense, but the reason they're out there is half the time the offense didn't get the job done.
Exactly. I'm with you on that. Jason Garrett told 105.3 The Fan, he was asked this question. He was asked, is your team underachieving? This was his response.
Well, obviously we didn't get the job done yesterday, and that's really what the focus needs to be right now. And that's what we'll be when our guys come in today. We'll clean up the game, and we'll get our eyes forward. And it's as simple as that. We didn't get the job done, and we have to get ready for that next.
Oh God! B, grab me some rope. My God! The guy just asked him, "Are you underperforming?" Yes, we are. We'll get better.
Yes,
that's it.
Exactly.
This guy doesn't even know how to handle the press. I've never been a fan. I saw him yesterday on the sidelines. Then that 2-point conversion in the middle of the end zone with Witten was a weak-ass call.
Yes.
Passed on the field goal.
That was
cost some games.
That was a huge play when they passed on the field goal. That momentum killed. It was a momentum killer to pass.
You know what I said? This is great. I'm on Twitter. I go, I have the Jets, and that was stupid. I have the Jets. And I said, how does Dallas pass up points? And I got the Jets. I was thrilled. But I'm also, as a football man, I'm baffled by coaches that don't grab points in the first or second quarter of games.
I'm with you 150 million%. So with you. You don't pass up those points early in the game. It always comes back to haunt you. Always comes now.
Because they would have won yesterday. They wouldn't have even needed the 2-point conversion.
Exactly. Now, what was interesting about that soundbite was that Jason was already talking about the upcoming game, which is against the Eagles. And guess what? Doug Peterson was talking about when he talked to Sports Radio WIP this morning. He was talking about the Cowboys.
I know the sky's falling outside.
Yes.
It's falling, and I get that, and the fans are reeling just a little bit. But we're going down to Dallas, and our guys are going to be ready to play, and we're going to win that football game. And when we do, we're in first place in the NFC East. We control our own destiny. We're right where we need to be. Has it been perfect or beautiful or all of that? No. But all we got to do is try to be 1-0 this week. Beat the Dallas Cowboys. We're in first place. And listen, they're reeling too. They're struggling too. They've dropped their last 3 games. So this will be an exciting football game.
Mike, the fact that the Eagles But Mike, don't you give them credit at least for saying we're going to go down to Dallas and we're going to beat their butts? That to me makes me want to think, well, maybe I'll lay $15 or $20 or whatever on the Eagles. I don't know what the spread is. Let me see if I've got it here. The opening line is Cowboys -3. Yeah, I might lay $20 on the Eagles to win that game.
Yeah, you know what? Here's what I would say to everybody here. First of all, they're a disappointment, the Eagles.
Oh,
massive.
my goodness.
I think the Eagles are a one-trick pony. I think they got to the Super Bowl. Everything broke their way. Good for them. Nick Foles is no longer with them. Maybe if he had stayed with them, he doesn't get hurt. Who knows what happens here? Did they make the right decision? I tell people every week here at Bears Barroom, when the quarterback walks into the training facility, there's the former quarterback holding the Super Bowl trophy. I'll have to see it to believe it. I'm not ready to say I'd put money on this. I'm not a Zeke Elliott fan. Am I wrong for that? I don't know.
I like him a lot.
To me, I like him, but I would rather have other people. I don't know. I don't know. I think they're in a quandary, the Cowboys. Who's more important, Zeke or Dak? Who's worth more money? Well, we already gave a ton to Zeke.
Yeah.
Are you going to give $30 million to Dak? Philadelphia looks like a team that they got very good players on it, but no really great players, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a huge game. In Philadelphia, they look so far away from 2 years ago, don't they, Elds, with the Super Bowl?
I'm with you there again. I am with you there again.
The 85 Bears, at least you always thought for 4 years after that, we got a real good shot. I don't see that with the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either. It's good. You're right. This upcoming game, I think whoever wins this game is going to win that division. This division, I'm looking at the standings right now.
Looks like my high school record, that division. Wow.
Who knows if this young quarterback for the Giants gets hot, maybe they win the division. They're 2-4, only a game out right now. So this division is really, really bad. And Jason Garrett better watch out, because if he loses against the Eagles, I think they got the bye the following week. And who knows, Jerry Jones might finally pull the trigger and fire that guy, because as Hart 4803 says, Jason Garrett is the official Cowboys sideline clapper. That seems to be all he does.
Howdy doody without the strings. I mean, my God, and I love Jerry. But Jerry, look, you could take Jerry Jones after a loss, but yesterday, I mean, we're not happy. I'm not happy. We got to get things going. We'll go sit down and look at things, and, But that's the way it's. I mean, he knows how to do it. He's a great PR man.
He really is.
But as a general manager, if he didn't own the team, I mean, he's got great players. What is in your way? It looks like to me, after watching that game yesterday, the head coach.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's been comfortable with Jason Garrett because he does as he wants him to do. There's no dissension there. There's no turmoil. There's no conflict.
This might be the end of the line, though, Al.
Yeah.
Because what the pressure on Jones is, they're saying, hey, Jerry, you know what they never used to say? Hey, Jerry, you know what? You're not doing a good job. You know what they're saying now? Hey, Jerry, you got the players. Why aren't you winning now? So he may be the scapegoat this time, finally.
Yep. Well, and if the seat is hot for Jason Garrett, it is on total fire with the Atlanta Falcons head coach Dan Quinn.
Wow.
1-5. They lose a 1-pointer when an extra point that was missed. The final was 33-34. The Falcons have now lost 4 straight games, and I gotta believe that he is got to go, because over the last 2 games, the Falcons have given up 53 points to Houston last week and now 34 to the Cardinals. And this guy came to Atlanta with the pedigree of being a top defensive coordinator. This doesn't look good for Dan Quinn. I think he better start looking for a real estate agent, because his time in Atlanta is not long.
Yeah, I think he's going to be on his way out, and I liked him when he first got there. He brought a new attitude. But when you got Matt Ryan in his prime, and he's got to be in shootouts, and you're going to lose most of the shootouts, because most of those teams you get in shootouts with have better defenses. And Matty Ryan, I mean, it's not like you want to talk about an offense that would hate the defense's guts? We used to have that here in Chicago. You may have that issue over there.
Yeah, although he did throw 4 touchdowns yesterday, but that team is just, there's nothing.
They don't have a defense.
Yeah, there's nothing right about it. I mean, that was definitely the best game Ryan has had all year.
Is there anything right about the city of Atlanta? Nothing. I've been there a couple times.
Their airport seems a lot better than ours at O'Hare. I do have to say that.
Get out of here!
Come
on now. Come on, man. You don't like O'Hare's food courts? Outstanding.
I love it, but they've made some renovations over at that airport, and it's pretty damn nice, man. You gotta check it out.
I went to the Super Bowl, Aldo, in Atlanta. I covered it.
Uh-huh.
They had an inch of snow. Came the day before the Super Bowl. The city was crippled. It was unbelievable.
Was that the Robinson Bowl game where he got caught with the prostitute the day before the game? Jeepers, what an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm going to go look for a prostitute on the night before the biggest game. All right, congratulations to Vic Fangio. He wins his second in a row, and he does it in great fashion, a shutout. His team, the Broncos, get 7 sacks, 3 of them against Marcus Mariota. The Titans coach figures, well, I'll just bench him and bring Ryan Tannehill in. Well, he gets sacked for 4 times, and this Titans team is now fallen to 2-4. The Broncos have climbed to 2-4. Do you think that the Broncos now are on a roll and that their winning streak is going to continue, or do you think this is just kind of a mirage?
All right, I've been hearing discussion all day, first of all, about Mariota and Winston. I watched them both yesterday. I think Mariota and Winston someday down the line will be good second-string quarterbacks, or maybe on some teams a first-string quarterback with no hope. I would give the edge to Mariota. I have more faith in him than Winston. That's just me. But they both crapped the bed as far as their careers go.
Oh, my gosh.
When you're getting replaced by Ryan Tannehill, think about that, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Mariota has regressed. I don't understand it. He missed some wide-open shots yesterday. I don't know what's wrong. Vrabel, I like him, but it takes guts to replace a guy. I don't think you give up on people, just like I don't think you give up on Winston. In fact, I heard Bruce Arians say today he's not going to give up on him, but if he has another game like this, that was the shot that he heard, then we got another problem. The thing with Mariota, I think you got to start him again. I don't know what you're going to do, but you're right. Just absolutely horrible football by Tennessee. Not getting it done. I thought they'd be better along. That's another franchise. There's certain franchises you don't pay too much attention to. For some reason, the Ravens is one for me. Tennessee's another one. They just they play in the National Football League, but usually what happens to them is inconsequential to me. I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm with you on that. You know what? And I've got a soundbite here of Bruce Arians talking about Jameis Winston after the game, and he
Good. I've been doing my homework. Can you tell?
Yeah, I know. You always do your homework. You always show up prepared. And I sometimes think that you just.
Is this the where he says if he does this again, he's screwed?
Almost. This is what he said.
No, throw the damn ball away. You avoided 1. You might have avoided 2. You ain't thrown it anywhere to a receiver. Throw it away. And he has a habit of trying to be Superman. And that's been a problem in the past. The fumbles haven't occurred this year till today. But again, trying to make something out of nothing.
He threw 5 interceptions, fumbled the ball twice. He recovered only 1 of those fumbles. And you know what? I got to bring up his name again. I know you hate him, Jay Cutler. Jameis Winston is Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler was better than Jameis Winston.
I agree.
I'll tell you that straight out. Look, I'm not a Cutler fan, but I'm a football man. Jay Cutler was better than Jameis Winston. Not even close. And Jay Cutler, the problem is most of the quarterbacks, including Winston, care more. That's the only problem. But I'll tell you that Cutler was better than Winston, no doubt. And he's better than Mariota.
But the thing is that
he's better than a lot of people, just didn't transform on the field.
Right. But the thing about Cutler, which is the same problem with what Arian says about Winston, is that he would try to do Superman-type things. Like the game against Washington where D'Angelo Hall intercepts him 4 times. He was so unnerved that he was not unnerved, but he was so upset that Hall was intercepting him time after time again that he kept throwing foolish passes his way, and he kept intercepting. Right. He was just a dunderhead sometimes.
All right, calm down. Sit down. Have something. Here, get him something. Calm
Coffee,
down
please.
now.
Coffee.
Lay back down on the couch. Lay back down on the couch. We'll get back to your childhood. You were just going off. You went off on him. This is something new. You went off on Cutler.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm growing up, Dad.
I'm so proud of you. My God. Finally. I broke through. you're right. That was the dumbest game. It's like he was so stubborn, you know?
Oh, my
I'm going to
gosh.
go get him again. No, you're not. You're not beating up little Jimmy. He beats you up every time you fight him. That's it.
Yep. Kevin in the chat room says Cutler had a grade A arm, but a D and F with recognition and leadership. Totally agree with you,
There
Kevin.
you go. He's absolutely
agree.
right.
All right, we have one more game ditch to cover here. The Steelers beat the Chargers behind Devlin Hodges. Who the hell heard of Devlin Hodges before last night? He was elevated to the starting spot after Mason Rudolph suffered a concussion last week against the Ravens. And the third stringer had 15 of 20 passes for 132 yards, a touchdown and an interception late in the game when it didn't really matter. And the running game for the Steelers just completely dominated that game. It was a nice win on the road at Los Angeles against the Chargers. Steelers 24-17 winners. My brother, who is a huge Steelers fan, didn't call me last night because he was probably too drunk, but I'm sure he's very happy to this morning.
He's right. And you know what? I'll give credit to Tomlin. I mean, good job by him coming back. Pittsburgh was left for dead. The backup quarterbacks for Pittsburgh, New Orleans, and Carolina are 9-0.
Wow.
9-0.
Wow.
So my deal is, Mason Rudolph before this guy. We can't win with Mitch. They bring in their third stringer, they're winning. You know?
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder. I really have enjoyed, and I heard this today by other people, but I thought of it before even yesterday. I really enjoyed the second-string quarterbacks this year. They're playing good football, and they're making names for themselves, a lot of these guys. Teddy Bridgewater's going to make himself a lot of money, and maybe a couple of these other guys are going to do the same thing. So, Pittsburgh, good for them. They're a proud franchise. And isn't it amazing? They after they get rid of the malcontent who's out of football and Le'Veon Bell, now they're starting to percolate again. Pittsburgh was shanghaied, as everybody knows, by a malcontent diva wide receiver, and that don't last for long. They're a great organization, so I'm happy to see them win.
Quickly, Mike Tomlin, you like him as a head coach?
Man, every time you start to count the guy out, the guy gets the job done.
I hear you.
He did win a Super Bowl. I give him credit for that. And I think they're very loyal to their coaches. Think about this. No Cowher and Tomlin. That's it.
Yep.
Since the 70s, right?
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Was there anybody? I don't think there was anybody else.
I am 99.9% sure that you are absolutely correct on that. That is amazing.
They stick by their people, and I'm never going to go against people that stick by their people. There's too many people that don't.
I love it. Excellent. Now, one last football note before I get your thoughts on baseball. Akeem Hicks apparently will be out for an extended period of time.
What happened? I thought he was only going to be out. They're talking the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be several games, and he's going to be a huge loss for this Bears defensive line. Yeah. We saw the Oakland Raiders kind of manhandle a bit that defensive line without Hicks in there, so hopefully they're going to get the improved play from Nick Williams and some of the other guys in there. So we'll see what happens, but that's going to hurt the Bears next week.
Well, see, they dodged injuries last year. That was a big deal on them winning
my
those
goodness.
12 football games.
You ain't kidding. I mean, that is so huge in the NFL nowadays. If you can stay relatively healthy, you can win football games and go far. But the injury bug appears to be a problem for the Bears this season.
You know what isn't a problem? I have tonight's Detroit-Green Bay game, both side and total, at VegasScoresAndOdds.com.
Wow.
Follow at VSAO Sports. I also have the baseball game, the winner of that. I'm on fire at Vegas Scores and Odds. And I'm telling you right now, that's the place you got to go. Check my profile at the top at North to North. Just punch out Vegas Scores and Odds, and you'll see everything that you need to know about this great company. And folks, they've stuck their neck out for me and Aldo. We stick our neck out for them. They're the best going. And tomorrow, I have Accountability Tuesday. You actually got a handicapper. 90% of your handicappers you don't hear from until they win. There are the 10% out there, a lot of them I follow, that will tell you, I had a bad day yesterday, or I went 2-4. There's not many, though. I'm one of them, and we have a scoreboard on the front page. Also, Check out 1-866-504-2201. And also, we got commercials running. Premier, Westwood One, ESPN. You hear our commercials. I'm glad guys like Chris Ranji said he heard me twice in St. Louis. He says, I'm still trying to get over it on ESPN 101. And also other people are calling me. They love the commercials. Aldo does a great job producing them. Vegas Scores and Odds, thank you. Aldo?
I just want, before we leave, I know where we got to go to get your predictions on these two games, but just to share with me a quick thought about this. Cardinals going to Washington, D.C., down 2-0. Do they even have a shot at winning that game? Because I feel like the Cardinals are going to get swept. That's my gut feeling.
How would you like to be Bryce Harper? Do you stay in?
Yes, you stay in.
Because everybody's looking at you. Would you go to a restaurant and look up and the Nationals are on TV?
I'll tell you.
You actually go out as Bryce Harper and look up and see your team that you left last year who had no effect of losing you. None.
That's
None.
right. That's right.
They're going to go to the World Series without Bryce Harper. And Philadelphia stuck with this guy for 12 more years, and the manager got fired already.
I'm Bryce Harper. I go get a haircut and I shave it all the way down so no one will recognize me.
Oh my God! I get my hair. I get braids. I do anything. I'm telling you, that's going to be brutal. If the Nationals win it off. Oh, and you don't hear a peep about him, do you?
Not a peep.
You don't hear a peep about Bryce Harper from any of the announcers.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable, man.
I'm surprised ESPN hasn't done a whole series about Bryce Harper, but they won't. They got so many Phillies fans who work as producers over at
You know what? I'm going to
Bristol.
tell you something. Bryce Harper, I was never a big fan. I know he had some homers this year. He did okay. Hey, that's fine. You could put up stats. But the clubhouse, everywhere else, he had issues with teammates. Max Scherzer threw him up against the wall during a game. Come on, Max Scherzer. There's a competitive thing there. There was an issue there. And as soon as he leaves, it's like they went from a farty smell to like a flower shop. It's beautiful.
It really is beautiful.
Man.
It really is beautiful.
I'll tell you what, the Yankees and Astros, I had the under yesterday. Pitching seems to be winning out right now against the slugging. So
Hart 48.
That's something that hasn't changed too much in baseball when it gets to the good teams and it gets down to the nitty-gritty.
You got that right. Hart 4803 just wrote that in the chat room. He says pitching is more important than one position player, relating back to Bryce Harper.
That guy Kevin, he knows me.
He knows his stuff, and
Kevin's
he knows
a good
you.
Guy.
He loves this show. He is a regular in the chat room. We invite everyone who listens to this in the podcast to join Hart 4803 and be dubbed.
A ton of hits, folks.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Pass the word around. You'll get the truth here. Raw truth from Aldo and I.
Oh, especially Mike North, because he comes prepared every
I
week.
come prepared. I got my nose to the grindstone. I don't know what a grindstone is, but whatever.
All right. Hey, Harry Carey used to be the announcer for the St. Louis Cardinals. You want to sign off as Harry tonight?
You love when I do my Harry Carey, don't you, Alfred?
I do.
Alfred Gondor, on behalf of everybody at Bull's Bar Room. Oh, by the way, I love Chuck Swirsky. But quit telling us what time the Bulls are on. I'd rather forget. Believe me when I tell you this. Check out Vegas Scores and Odds. Check out Aldo. Check out our podcast. We're coming up. God, this show's filled with energy. We went overtime. We don't mind. Lots of stuff on Monday. Vegas Scores and Odds. Thank you so much. Aldo, I'll tell you. So long, everybody.
All right.